You're listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. With your hosts, Anthony R. Destiny, Joe Ferrani, and Jerry Kenna. Interviewing entrepreneurs, business operators, and investors. This episode of Between Two Bridges is sponsored by Paymark Payroll. Payday is the most important day to your most important people, and payday is made easy at www.payyourpeople.com.
Alrighty, we're here for the January wrap-up episode for Between Two Bridges. I'm your co-host, Anthony R. Destiny.
I'm Jerry Kenna.
And Joseph Ferranti.
So touching on the last few guests, we had Angel, Hugh, and David. Very different, I guess you could say, professions. Very impressed with Angel and what she's got going on.
Yeah, I'm glad to get some other looks. We seem to be toting the line of guys that have been doing the same thing. So we had an influx of different in the body industry, and that shop was kind of different, you know. And she's gonna kill it. Whatever she decides to do, big shop, small shop, she's gonna do it.
Yeah, she's. It's been fun to watch the growth of that company. I've been working with that body shop for probably 10 years. And worked with the previous owners, and then when Angel bought it, became a pretty big part of that. And it's fun to watch, you know, what the revenue was that the grandparents had and were comfortable with, and you know where they had grown it to. And then since she's taken over in 2020, even dealing with a global pandemic, she has increased the revenue dramatically. Completely changed the game there, and it's going to be exciting to see where it goes from here, whether or not she decides that she wants to start buying, you know, or opening up multiple locations, or and becoming a what they call MSO, multiple shop organization, maybe that's what they call it, or just keep growing where she's at and be content with that. Or maybe one of these big companies are going to walk in one of these days and offer her money, or make her an offer she can't refuse.
Yeah. I also think it was interesting, and kind of like reminds you that we're not completely over the pandemic, when she said like more of a pandemic now with the parts shortage and the big shops buying up the stocks. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to see that. Like, I think one thing that COVID's brought to the forefront is like we all knew a shrewd businessman, and now like we're kind of all forced to become one.
Yep.
And I mean, Rob Cochran's been on TV, and like he's like, people in Pittsburgh think he's a nice guy, but at this point, you know, he's getting shrewd, you know.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Rob. Just throwing that out there. Like he's
Gotta
taking a different approach,
times,
you know.
yeah.
Like the approaches have changed.
Yep.
It's hard to buy a part of the market share now, so you buy businesses in the market share.
Yeah, you know, I have a unique standpoint because I see so many different clients, different kinds of businesses, and different industries, different personalities within the business. And I've got clients that really struggled with this pandemic and are continuing to struggle with this pandemic. And then I have clients that looked at it as an opportunity. And, you know, we've said this before, you hate to say that you came out better after COVID, but I have clients that found opportunities to get money from these COVID programs that the government came out with, and with, you know, add on the fact that the rates were at all-time lows during that time. You know, they borrowed and borrowed and borrowed, and then got the grants and the tax credits and everything they could get their hands on. And because of that, they were able to not only survive the pandemic, but thrive. You know, clients that bought multiple businesses, guys, you know, expanded. We're one of them, you know.
Yeah.
So
I also think too that it depends on what business you were in, because like some businesses you knew like we're going to come out of this and it's going to pick up tomorrow. Like if you were in real estate and you were selling houses, you knew that after the pandemic, they were still going to sell houses.
Yeah.
You know, if you were in a business where like a movie theater, maybe you thought we're never going to see the end of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then don't forget, and then on top of the pandemic and all the weird things that a movie theater went through, we've also seen a massive shift in how movies are marketed and sold. You know, a lot of them are going straight to streaming now. They're not even going to a theater. So the theater business has changed dramatically. Not only just because of the pandemic, but just
Netflix,
overall.
you see A-list movie stars putting out movies on there. It's pretty wild.
I just watched Dumb Money with Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
About the GameStop stock.
Yeah, I saw the preview for that. I haven't watched it. Is it good?
I didn't even know it was available. I never thought it was never in theaters. I don't think.
Yeah,
And it was.
I never heard of it.
And it was really good. I mean, it was very informative.
Adam Sandler's been doing the same thing. He's been putting stuff directly on Netflix. It's never going to the theater. So, you know, that changes that game. I mean, we're going to probably start seeing theaters shut down.
Yeah, I would think so. They're like going the ways of the malls. And you know, all malls are empty anymore.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, if your strategic plan is to get into retail now, I don't know what you're selling. Maybe weed?
Yeah, you
doing
can
well.
sell weed.
Yeah, they're doing well, right?
That's crazy.
That
how many
is
of those
probably
have popped
the
up,
only-
man. You can't drive down a major street without seeing multiple dispensaries. Like it's like, oh, they're building a new building, and what they're going to sell next week, it's like, oh, it's a weed store.
Well, yeah, you talk about mom and pop shops, like with me looking for a building. It's like you're competing against breweries
Yeah.
and dispensaries.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they have like unlimited funds, it seems.
Yeah.
Because like, why wouldn't you?
Wow. Yeah. The dispensaries are getting money from investors because these banks
Right.
won't lend to them.
Right.
Because it's still federally illegal. They're not even allowed to have an account. It's crazy. I mean,
Bank account, you're saying.
yeah, bank accounts. They're not allowed to. They can't take credit cards. Like I'm in the credit card industry, so we see that all the time. Where it's because it's still considered federally illegal. Even the medical dispensaries, they're not allowed to take credit card.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you got to go to the ATM machine
Yeah,
and pay cash usually.
yeah. So we can't sell credit card processing to any of those places because it's still considered federally illegal. They can't take out a loan. They can't put their money in a bank. So they're dealing with massive amounts of cash. It's weird. I think that's going to change. I mean, every so often they start talking about a new bill that is going to change that. And I think you have
Oh,
all
they're
these
greedy fucks. If they can't take
think,
the cash and get their
I think we'll
percentage
see
on it.
that in our lifetime.
Yeah, I think we will too.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think there's a lot of greed involved in it. But what I think it is that pharmaceutical companies are lining these politicians' pockets way more than I think they realize they could make from a cannabis industry. So until they start looking and seeing a bigger opportunity in that sector than they are with Pfizer,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
I think
because that's a bridge they don't want to cross.
No,
I mean,
because look at the pandemic. They just pumped out all these vaccinations. The government funded the research and then mandated it in some places, and some employers mandated it and made so they didn't have to spend any money. Pfizer didn't spend any money on marketing for that COVID shot.
No, 100 weeks they had a vaccine. 100 years we can't subscribe marijuana yet. Like UPMC physician can't be like, you know what, dude. You're high strung. You're a hypochondriac. Just go get fucking stoned. Leave me alone.
Land of the free is not so free, I guess.
Yeah, no.
No,
Well, that's part of that movie too, and they talk about how when they started, the retail investors started going after GameStop.
Yeah.
So the hedge funds shorted the position, and the retail pushed it over the short, so the short fell through.
I remember that, yeah.
And then they required Robinhood to carry $3 billion to back their retail.
Yeah.
So they had to go to the hedge fund to get it.
There were days where you couldn't trade on.
Yeah, they shut
Robinhood.
off
They
trading.
would,
And that's
limit.
what. I mean, that's crazy to think, and that's the thing. Like, you think you're a little person. Like, there's actually a nurse from Pittsburgh that's documented in there. She's still holding, by the way.
Yeah.
Because she got fucked on the deal. She couldn't sell
couldn't
when she
sell.
wanted to sell, so she held, and they shut that dude off the
It's very
airwaves.
strange, yeah, to be able to restrict like that.
Yeah, it's very like cowboys and Indians. Like
I
they're
wouldn't even say that. It's the government and then us little guys.
right, and it was right there in front of our face. We couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And then they don't talk about it until the movie comes back out. And you're like, oh, shit, that happened?
Did happen.
When did that happen? 1932? No, that was 2021.
Right. You know what, dude? Even with the movie out, there is a tremendous percentage of the people in this American public that don't know or don't understand what happened and don't realize that, I mean, it's literally... And it's not even just the government, obviously the government, but it's these hedge funds. It's these big financial organizations that they're almost telling the government, like, hey, you need to shut this shit off because we're losing a crazy amount of money.
That's exactly what happened.
And then you have the little guy that just happened to, get on this
Get
wave.
on Reddit.
I mean, it's crazy. Like, there's guys that put in $100 and were like
billionaires,
millionaires.
He had 53,000 he bought in GameStop, and he
wow.
cashed out at 37 million.
Could you imagine?
basically
That
overnight.
life. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Could you imagine that life?
But he was like, I think 30,
Uh-huh.
and people thought the big companies shorted GameStop because
Right.
they were like, no one's going to buy a disc. No one's going into the store. Well, GameStop as an organization sold mouses to become essential because they sold computer parts.
Yeah.
So all the malls closed down. The only store in the mall was open was GameStop. Not that it affected their revenue.
Yeah, they are all open.
But he went nuts thinking that this was going to change the world, and secretly he changed it. You know what I mean? Like, he was the one that their revenue didn't change much.
No,
But he changed it.
the valuation there was not accurate.
Yeah, no, not at all.
But it was like kids in college that had Robinhood that were like, "I'll buy $137 worth of stock." And it just, and then when that short position busted, the floodgates opened. 500% it went up. It's crazy.
Yep.
No, we were talking about movie theaters. AMC got in that run too.
Yep.
And
I bought some of that, and then I was a little too late to the show. I did not become a GameStop or AMC millionaire.
Yeah, the day I tried to buy GameStop, it was the day it was shut down.
Yeah.
I think it was like $135 a share, and it was shut down, and I just was like, well, fuck it. You're never going to be able to buy it again. Little did I know. Even at that point, even at $100 a share, if you would have bought in with a significant amount of money, you would have made money. Big money. So
Yeah, crazy money.
So
Angel. Yeah, so Angel's killing it.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch. And I don't know. I think she talks a lot about being underestimated and stuff. I think she kind of likes it being underestimated.
she's one of your clients that likes it for sure.
Yeah, she's definitely one that likes it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she's fun to watch.
She's a boss, man.
And then I actually was my son broke the screen on his iPad. So I went through the whole deal with Verizon, get to the insurance part, and then I'm like clicking through Verizon's website because I have like all this shit in Verizon, but I never mess around. And it brought us to our next guest that we had was Hugh. There's all these training things on Verizon, and I'm like, I wonder if Hugh ever had his hand in all this stuff, which he did. That's kind of what was his career start.
Yeah.
And funny enough, whenever I bought FlexSource, I kind of took over the Verizon account, and through this process, the guy on Verizon was like, "Your account is older than I am." I'm like, "Oh yeah," and he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "If you have a couple minutes, just hold on for a second. I want to do something for you." Yeah. So he goes and he comes back. He's like, "Hey, I got it approved that I'm gonna cut $56 a month off your bill for Verizon because you've been such a long-term customer of Verizon." So I'm like, that's kidding. Sweet,
Sometimes it just takes a call.
Yeah, call and once you get a human, you got to kind of remember now you're talking to a human. It's not the prompt like, who press 2 for billing. I'm like, I want to talk to customer service.
I just hit 0.
So it was cool to see that, because I remember him talking about that's where he got his start with the iPhone being released. And that's all that. I mean, online
that's where he worked
education.
when I met him.
Yeah, it's pretty slick.
Yeah,
and he's definitely. Keeping the foot down,
He's gone from retail to online education to Airbnbs, real estate. He's had some trouble there.
Yeah.
There's a good lengthy part of that about...
I'll never drive past the VA in Fox Chapel and not think about him because that house is relatively close.
Yeah. I was, I've known Hugh for a long time. I was pretty close with him during that whole thing. We weren't allowed to talk about it. And I saw what he was going through, and it was scary because he's, he had built himself a nice life. He had a good bit of rental properties, and he had a beautiful house, and he built himself a nice lifestyle, And then all of a sudden, like, everything was on the table. Like, he's like, I might have to sell my house that he built. You know? And it was, talk about being on top and then all of a sudden finding yourself
one bad deal.
And really no fault to his own, because like he did his
research.
Yeah. It was.
But it shows you that, like, not everybody, but so many people think that if you own a business, you're rich, or you're going to be ultra successful, or people start a business thinking like, well, it's going to be tough at the beginning, but it's just going to be a steady climb. Yeah. It is not. I mean, you can be on top of the world and all of a sudden everything falls out from under you.
Yeah. And one bad choice, one wrong advice, one dumb decision.
Yep.
And Chinese flu could come along.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or like you just make a decision and you think it's the right decision, and which he did.
Yeah.
And then on the backside of it, he came out of it all right. But like if he didn't, then people question him forever.
Yeah.
So like,
and he questions himself. I mean, he's going to beat himself up over it because he
put
his family in that position. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it was a rough patch, and I mean, I know the amount of money he was spending every month just to cover that cost, because he had hard money loans. He had a house in Fox Chapel is not cheap, and that was a rough time. But he came out the other end, he took it on the chin a little bit.
Yeah, and I looked at his event space that he has.
It's spectacular.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's really nice. He did a really good job with that.
Yeah, it's such a cool concept that wasn't there like 20 years ago. Like,
no, and I saw pictures of when he bought it, and I thought he was out of his mind.
Yeah, well, even like Armstrong Farms has that barn that they like these barns turn into wedding venues. I wonder when that bubble's going to burst.
Yeah, I don't know.
But a barn's definitely better than a fire hall, right?
There's a lot of barn remodels going on that in 20 years people are like, what were they thinking?
Remember Don Rayner?
Yes.
So,
for those of you
that don't know Don Rayner, he was like our hippie geography teacher. He was a good dude.
Civil War.
I got thrown out of Civil War class for asking if it was actual footage.
I used to cheat off Tyke, which is
wow. That's
he had all the answers.
How'd that work out for you?
But he had the answers.
He said to me,
I don't know where he got
one time
them.
about
Sorry,
like
Riverview, but.
We were in history. I think he was teaching history at the time, and he said one day they're going to dig up this school from the rubble, and they're going to find a stapler, and they're going to look at pictures of us and be like, what did they do? Just pierce their ears with these things? So like that whole thing, like 100 years from now.
I can't tell you the last time I used a stapler.
Yeah, I mean,
get a job in an office.
Jerry's like,
spend a day here.
Hundreds a month on staples.
I got some pretty crazy staplers here, man.
We use them at the cleaners from time, like for our like putting tags on shit and stuff like that. But I always think about that, like, all these people have earrings, and this thing here that they found in the rubble must have been.
There must have been an ear piercing. 2 at a time.
Yeah, 2 at a time, get them done, but. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see where like that whole venue space goes, but that place is gorgeous. Like,
well, and the nice thing he has is that his venue is not really just a barn. There's a barn on a property, but I think he's still working on it. But it's mainly just this old farmhouse in a giant yard. Right. So their weddings, they're putting up the big tents and doing like outdoor wedding kind of deal.
And then you get to sleep there.
And then he has the house where you can sleep, and it's like
gorgeous.
Oh, it's insane. So
we should shoot an episode there one time. You we could pull that off
on location.
He'd let us.
We could like.
I could have talked to him for a while.
Yeah,
that was our longest episode,
and we talked a while after. It's funny. We spent a lot of time in the lobby talking after, but he. Maybe we could do like a bourbon review and then sleep there.
We might.
We'll get through sober January here, and then let it rip.
Sober January while you have an icy light in front of you.
Well, I mean, to me, it's not blackout January.
Oh, okay.
So I don't plan.
You just dial it back.
I dial it back a little bit.
What is it? I'm 27 days into it.
Are you doing dry January?
Yeah, I've been in water. And
yeah,
I'm down 14 pounds.
No kidding. Just cutting out booze, or did you?
I mean, I've been working out a little bit, but yeah.
You look thin in the face. I thought it was the mustache.
Yeah. So my wife wanted this, so we'll see what happens.
I give him his shoes back at the beginning of the year. Now he's going to be an Italian race car driver.
And then
Yeah, and I think a lot of the things, like when we recap, like I relate a lot of things to like some of our guests, and like Hugh was talking about things that are like out of my realm of things. He was talking about dead X and stuff like that.
Intelligent, man.
And anybody out there that was like on the brink of like doing something crazy, he's probably a good guy to reach out to.
Yeah, he is.
And to wrap Hugh up, I thought it was funny one of the first times I met him, he still drives that Ridgeline.
Oh, he still has. I make fun of him relentlessly for that.
He was giving Jerry a ride back here, and he had to remove shovels from the passenger seat and throw them in the bed of his Ridgeline. But
yeah, he's
gotta do what you gotta do.
I always tell him, whenever that Honda breaks down, let me know. I'll come pick you up in my Silverado. I can tow your truck with mine.
There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Dave was fun to talk to, and
yes, you see his growth. He started at Smoky Bones, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Then pursue college, and now is very successful.
Yeah, he's doing well.
One of my hopes for him is that, like, when he's 60, he goes back to college and gets a degree in 1400th art. Yeah. 1400th century art.
No, I want to see him on Sundays, man. That'd be cool to. I know he just posted like a camp, and I'm thinking about like starting out. That'd be cool. Referee.
Oh, really?
So referees are people too, but
yeah, that would be. It would be fun.
Just to be like.
I posted this morning. I said I never thought I'd agree with a referee.
Yeah,
I saw that.
So
it's a tough job.
Yeah, definitely.
He does a ton. He's very conscientious of like what goes on around him and like the community, and I know that he's reached out to me a lot in the Alumni Foundation.
Yeah.
He's a solid guy.
Involved in the community for sure.
Yeah, I know he's proud of his brother. His brother, I mean, him and a guy that we graduated with, Dimitri Fakaris, are probably going to be the two most decorated soldiers to come out of Riverview for a long time. But like, I think his thing is like he's very relatable to a lot of people. So that field that he's chose, like he can spin the conversation. Like he said, if he walks in and sees sports memorabilia, he'll talk about sports. Yeah. But if you want to get down to it and talk about something else, he's very, very good at that.
You know, to expand on that, and he's definitely one of the guys that I agree with you 100%, and this applies to him. But I've got a handful of people I work with, friends with, and also clients that are very successful. And one in particular, and I won't mention who I'm talking about, but
Joe Ferrani.
I think a big reason why he's so successful in his particular career is that he can adapt to whatever room he's in. So if he's in a room with blue collar union guys, he's one of the guys, and he's not a stuffy guy. He can talk to them and be one of the guys. But you can take that same guy and put him in a room with UPMC executives with a suit and a tie, and he can get along with them too.
Yeah.
And I think he's in kind of a commercial lending space, and he's very, very successful in it. And that is, I think, a big part of why. You have to be able to, like, we were all raised like, you treat the CEO the same way as a janitor.
Right.
I think that's, it's not the way we always are. We don't, I don't look at people that way. I really don't, and I think that goes to, it serves to help be successful, because if you can get along with everybody and nobody looks at you like what a dick, what an asshole that guy is. My clientele ranges from retired people on a fixed income and blue collar guys that that struggle, all the way up to 7-figure employees.
Yeah, we're pretty
7-figure business owners, and you just have to be able to get along with everybody, be friendly, just be nice to people.
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate in that regard too. Like, and I never really thought about it until probably right now. Is we grew up in a mill town, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't a mill town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were like that first generation non-mill town.
Right.
So like when you think about like dealing with a CEO, like we talked about Dave going back and showing kids what they could be.
Yep.
Like a lot of the people that we grew up with, their dads worked at the mill. I know my dad worked there for a little bit, and then it closed. So it forced them all to go out into the world instead of just toting that company line. Because I know like my makeup and like I'll work everybody, like Beth Dutton says, you got 4 ways to be rich, right? So I would have taken the I'm gonna outwork everybody approach.
Yeah.
But that wasn't an option for me. The mill wasn't there.
Yeah.
And my dad had to go do something else too. So like I got to see a different world. And I never really thought about it like that. But I think we grew up around it. And then by the time we got adults, we were very fortunate that it wasn't an option for us.
Yeah.
Or else me and you might have been in the pipe fitting shop and Jerry could have been working doing payroll in the office, you know?
Yep.
So
Was it you that I was just talking to about that scene?
Oh,
I
yeah.
was just talking to somebody about that. Is it
Yeah,
you?
me and you talked about it,
That's
and I
like
went back and rewatched it.
One of my favorite scenes in that show.
Dude, that show, man. I watched like, 5.5 seasons in like 6.5 days.
Yeah.
I just put it on in the background.
I have a client that's
good.
a producer on that show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he traveled out to Montana and he was like on site. He said a lot of it was filmed in Utah. And then he's a producer on one of the spin-offs, just one of them.
1883 or whatever.
What's the other one?
1946. 2001. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know
So
it's
I think
1883.
I think it was the 1883 one. Is the 1883 one the one that was kind of like everybody died at the end? It was all just a one.
I didn't
one
watch it yet,
season.
yeah.
Me either.
Yeah.
So that's spoiler alert.
Yeah, well, Taylor
My
Sheridan.
bad.
They all die.
Yeah. The producer produced Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah.
He, my sister-in-law lives in Texas, and he actually purchased Quad 6 Ranch, the ranch that was on the show.
Nice.
Oh, really?
He ended up purchasing it. Yeah, 350,000 acres.
He was just on Rogan. He was a pretty interesting episode. He's an interesting dude.
Yeah, it's a look into what probably more. It's closer to reality than what reality they portray.
Well, yeah. I mean, from what I understand, and I haven't watched those prequels, the 1883 or I think 17 something. But apparently they're pretty historically accurate.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like what happened.
And now a brief word from our sponsor.
This episode of Between Two Bridges is sponsored by Paymark Payroll. Are you tired of spending countless hours juggling payroll calculations, tax filings, and compliance regulations? Well, say goodbye to that chore and let Paymark Payroll take the burden off your shoulders. With our secure online portal, you can access your business information from any internet location, even your phone. Employees will love the ability to receive direct deposits, and they can access all their pay stubs, tax forms, and information through their own portal. Focus on growing your business while we take care of the rest. With top-notch customer support, we're always here to assist you with anything, at any time. Don't let payroll stress hold you back. Choose Paymark Payroll and experience the freedom to thrive. Contact us at payyourpeople.com for a personalized consultation and a demonstration of our powerful payroll solutions and see how Paymark Payroll can better your workflow. That's payyourpeople.com. Join the growing list of satisfied businesses that have embraced the convenience and efficiency of Paymark. Payday made easy. Your business deserves nothing less than the best, and that's exactly what Paymark Payroll delivers. Now back to the show.
Alrighty, which brings us to current events. Joey, what do you got going on?
So we're still in the process of I don't know. We're looking for a building.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I got to watch
More
what we
to
do
come.
there. Yeah. We're kind of transitioning into a slower time of year now, which is nice because it gets you caught up. There's some wedding gowns and stuff that's been sitting on the back burner, and started getting more into towels. Then we do a lot of towels for like janitorial towels, which we got to deal with Bayer, which is kind of nice. Consistent revenue in our industry is hard to come by, so we got that going.
Okay.
Manufacturing shop's up and running. It's doing well. Wow, this will come out February. January's been like our best January. I mean, it's easy to say
nice.
best January, but like this is my second January, so it's better than the last one. But historically, it's on pace.
Growth
We're
is
seeing
always good.
we're seeing some growth there. The building's on the forefront of the mind. Lease is up in July, so got to make a decision there. Personally, getting ready to go away. So
Enjoy.
kind of February is like our slow month of the cleaners, so it's always been a time to get away, go spend some time with the family.
Some umbrella drinks in your future.
I still drink beer, man. as much as I want to.
I don't know if they have Iron City.
I mean, I got a tequila story I could tell you, but
Sure do.
they get on me a little bit, like, oh, you're in Key West drinking margarita. Well, tequila and we're friends. I mean, we get along great.
Yeah.
Everybody around me doesn't like when me and tequila get together. But yeah, so we're looking forward to that. I think we fly out Thursday, so this way, or Wednesday next day. And last year we had a hell of a trip. Like, we flew into Charlotte and get out of Charlotte, flew to Fort Lauderdale, had to get picked up in Fort Lauderdale, driven to Key West.
Oh.
So we're hoping for a little smoother thing there. Yeah, there's a lot going on, I guess. It's easy to talk about it when the mics aren't on.
Right.
But you got to watch. You got a lot of people. Hopefully a lot of people are listening. So there's a lot of good things to come. Jerry's probably be glad if we figure this building thing out. He's sick of hearing from me. Yeah. It's actually what he likes.
Yeah, that's the side of the business I like.
Yeah.
The strategy.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm finishing up that snowball method with some of my personal stuff. I just bought a truck, traded in
nice.
the fancy car for a nice little truck to cut my expenses. I got a Tacoma.
Oh, I thought maybe you were going to say an F-150 electric.
Nah.
Lightning, you can get those for cheap now.
You drive it here today?
I did. It's outside.
I'm looking forward to looking
at it.
Yeah, nice.
Which is, it's a weird process because you trade in a fancy car and you're like, give me the cheapest truck you got. And they're like, the bank's not going to approve that. Yeah. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, you can, the loan to value or whatever, you can only go so low from where you were at. I had some negative equity, obviously, but I was like, what do you mean I can't get the cheapest? And they're like, nah, you're going to need to spend at least 25 or so. And I was like, all right, well, what do you got? And so, but happy to know I have to buy premium gas and lower car insurance, lower payments. So that'll, that's extra money going into my pocket.
Last time we were together, I think you were talking about you had to get tires on that car, and I was like, man, it's 8 months of payments on my little Kia.
Toyotas are a lot easier to fix, so that'll be good. And then like to finish my deck in the spring and working on some bathrooms, and then anniversary this week, so shout out Tiff for surviving 4 years.
I watched the episode we were talking, and I said Amber and Sarah, and I kind of blanked, and I didn't say Tiffany's name, and so make sure Tiffany gets the credit she deserves
Send her
too.
Flowers, she likes flowers. That's about it, man. Looking, Jerry will hit me with a tax bill, and then we'll get moving.
Yeah, it's that time of year for me.
Rates are going up.
Tax bills are going up. Everything's going up. It's tax time for me. So we're it's actually like right now is the calm before the storm, where we have a handful of appointments, and you're really early people. We can't even actually file yet. The filing season doesn't start until not yet according to when this is being recorded. But
I just got my W-2.
Did you? Yeah, we can start e-filing on the 29th. So I think this video is going live on the 31st. But so it'll be in full swing by the time this actually goes online. Yeah. But so the 29th we can start filing. I've got a handful that went in already. The IRS won't approve anything. Basically, the way it works is like everything goes into a queue. And then as of when they turn on the system, it goes. But I read that this year that there's actually that the IRS is pulling some returns even before the date to do some testing and things like that. Yeah. So that's been kind of neat to see. I have one that actually got approved today. No rhyme or reason to it, but it's kind of neat. But we're dealing with that. We're dealing with getting ready for tax season because it gets real chaotic here. I still have.
Don't wait till April, people.
Don't wait till April.
No, you're just filing for fucking extension.
Yeah, that's extension time. That's what that is. We're still waiting on these employee retention credits to come in for a handful of my clients. It's been frustrating, but the IRS actually had a press release sort of thing happen last week or so, where they're, and I'm going to butcher the numbers a little bit, but I'm not exaggerating them, that they're receiving, so they're still processing ones that they received prior to September of last year.
Wow.
They put a moratorium on the program like September 14th of 23 because of the massive amount of fraud that was coming that was happening, where you have all these people that are basically creating fake companies to get these employee retention credits. It's crazy. So they put a moratorium on the program to slow it down so they can figure out how to track that, how to figure out what's fake and what's not. And because of that, everything has just come to a screeching halt. They're still working on stuff prior to September. They're receiving, even still, they're saying 45,000 applications a week.
Wow.
Okay? And they're processing 150 a day. So it's going to be a minute.
20, 30.
They're like almost 1 million behind at this point. Yeah. And they said, but there's a bill in front of Congress right now to stop the program. That they're going to make it January 31st. They're going to kill the program off. Now, they're not sure it's actually going to pass. It has not passed as of the filming of this video. But they're predicting that as of February 1st, which would be the first day after the shutdown, that they would be 1.2 million applications behind. Yeah. And at 150 a day, it's going to be a minute. And
the ERC might just return out to be your retirement fund.
Yeah.
For all your 30-year-old business owners out there.
Yeah, it's crazy. And there's a lot of people that are calling for Congress to tell the IRS to just send them out. Like I understand you have fraud, and I tend to agree. You have fraud, but you also have like legitimate business owners that actually legitimately qualify for the program.
And there's probably businesses that are closing down because they haven't gotten it.
Yeah, and it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
This could be enough money that could be game changing for a client
or for a business. $20,000 is a shot in all.
Hell yeah.
It's a payroll, it's a rent check, and it's a breath.
Right.
Of fresh air.
And they're holding this money for. I have clients that have been waiting almost a year at this point for the money, and no end in sight. And you call the IRS, and they say, "Well, we're working through it." Come on, guys.
So, as a tax professional, though, coming into this time of year, what are like the top like 1 or 2 documents that hold up a tax return? That
it's always these investment accounts, man.
Yeah.
So for an individual tax return, for an individual tax return, the biggest thing is the K1s and investment accounts, like your Charles Schwab, your things like that. They're always the last ones to come out, and it's always the thing that everybody forgets about. And then they come in here with their W-2s. Okay, I'm ready to file. We file the return, and then 2 weeks later, they're like, "Hey, I got this thing in the mail. Does it make a difference?" And I'm like, "Yep." Start all over.
What about gambling write-offs? What do you need to write off your gambling debt?
So the IRS will allow you to write off up to all of your gains. And it's pretty accepted that you're going to have all those losses. I mean, there's a reason casinos are so nice. Yeah. You're not going to win.
Right.
So the IRS kind of expects that. I've had clients that have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of gains, and they come in with a win-loss record, and they're still at zero. Now, they won't let you write off beyond that.
What about my Bitcoin losses? Do I get to write that off?
If you sell. So as you realize the loss, that's when you get
that had to been by December 31st, or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If not, it'll be on next year's return. So,
what are you looking forward to most about tax season this year?
I don't know. It's tax season's a whirlwind, man. I look forward to it because it's a fun time of year. I get to see a lot of clients that I only get to see once a year. It's super fast paced, which is fun until about the end of March, and I'm like, okay, I'm done with this shit.
Yeah.
You're just exhausted.
Burnout.
We go 7 days a week. I typically try to, unless we're really behind, my staff doesn't work Sundays. I work every Sunday. But I try not to take appointments. It's like the day that I can get caught up on things and, actually come out.
You come in here in June, you're like, what do they need all this space for?
Yeah, and then you come in here during March.
You'll know.
And there's like a constant hum here, man.
Yeah.
The phone's never stopping. The printer's never stopping. I mean, it's crazy here.
Yeah,
but it's fun. It's part of the business, and it's good.
Any big changes this year, tax-wise? Standard deductions?
there's not a ton of changes this year. There's actually a bill in front of Congress right now to make some changes to help with additional child tax credits and things like that. One thing for businesses, which I think the majority of the people listening or businesses probably want to see it, hear about it. The bonus depreciation that we've had for so many years now that we're part of the Trump tax bill, we could take a bonus depreciation of up to 100% of a piece of equipment or a vehicle, or even leasehold improvements. If there were some things you could take 100% in 1 year, it could make you have a loss. And it was nice because you could take those losses, but then when you went to the bank, they would typically add that depreciation back into your bottom line, so it didn't hurt you for lending, but it would make it so you didn't have to pay any taxes. So since the 2018 tax bill, you've been able to take 100%, but the plan was, part of that rule was, starting for tax year 23, it's going to start going down. So for tax year 23, which is what we're about to file taxes for, you're down to 80% of that purchase price. Next year it goes down to 60, 40, 20, and then gone. But there's a bill in front of Congress right now to try to increase some of the tax benefits, mainly for the middle to lower class taxpayer. The families, their credits for the kids and things like that they're trying to do. But in order to make it bipartisan, there's some lawmakers that came in and said, okay, well, we'll do that, but we want the bonus depreciation to go back up to 100%.
Yeah.
And they're hoping to have that passed by the 29th when we start filing. Otherwise, it wouldn't be the first time that they make a change to the tax code during tax season for that tax year, and then we end up having to amend returns. A couple years ago, they came out with, during COVID, they made it so that the first $10,000 and change of your unemployment was not taxable to the feds. Well, we were already a month into tax season, and I went back and at that point, we had already filed like 400 returns. Wow. And a good bit of them had unemployment because we were dealing with tax. It was COVID year where they had a lot of layoffs. So I'm like, what are we going to do here? We have to amend all these returns that we did.
Yeah, I don't mean to laugh, but
it was scary. But then they came out like a couple days after and they told us, don't amend the returns. We will do it. So the IRS actually just started sending out checks to clients like, here's the rest of your refund, or here's some money back. So that was good, but they'll make that change in the middle of tax season, and we just have to figure it out.
What's the one thing you need to know if you're watching this episode and you're thinking about taxes? What's the one thing you have to know going into this year?
Yeah.
Landmark Business
Solutions.
That's what you need to know.
Landmark-business.com. You can book your appointment online.
Yeah.
You can upload your documents online. We can do it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do it virtually.
Anybody that's watched our shows, they know.
Yeah.
Like, get with this company. Like Jerry's the founder, I guess, right? And but he gets it. And not only does he get it, he likes it. He enjoys it.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Thank God you aren't an engineer.
Yeah, I tried that for a semester. Didn't go well. Science is not my thing.
Yeah. So I think we're getting close to the end, and you'll sign us off. But I had a note here. We were talking earlier. I don't know how many people comment on our videos, but you always see it on videos. Like, hey, in the comments, or like and subscribe below. I would like comments to start filling out a 2024 bingo card. There's been some stuff that have happened in our personal lives in the first 30 days of this year that we would have never expected.
Yeah.
But I would like to, is what's going to go on with this election? What's going to go on in the world? Because
let's keep receipts.
Rates.
Let's go out with that. So who's playing in the Super Bowl, Joey?
My heart says that I want Detroit and the Lions to play.
Mm-hmm.
My money says that it'll probably be the 49ers and the Chiefs, because if I bet the Lions and Ravens, it's going the other way.
Played about a few years ago,
too,
right?
Yeah.
Jerry, who we got?
I'm hoping for the Lions, and I'm not really a big Mahomes fan. I don't know why. There's something about him I don't really care for.
It's his brother.
Yeah,
He
and
likes
his wife.
brother.
I don't know. It just, especially
And his
like
wife's
his
best
little,
friend,
his
Swiftie.
outburst
Taylor Swift
during that one game with the Bills, actually.
Yeah.
And I just didn't really like it. But so I'm pulling for the Lions and I guess the Ravens, but I agree. I think if the Lions are with the Ravens, it's going to be tough for the Lions to win that game. But I want the Lions to win. I think most of this country wants the Lions to win.
Yeah.
You got to bite some kneecaps.
Yeah, just to see that comeback, the new Detroit Lions.
It gives you, as a Pirate fan, it gives you hope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what do you think?
He's a Steeler fan.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right, Essie, who do you got?
I'm going chalk, man. It's 49ers season. I think they'll come out on top. I do expect Baltimore to. I think the Chiefs have been vulnerable all year with drops, and they're
wide
not as
receivers.
sharp. They miss Tyreek Hill so much, so I think the Ravens find a way to get it done, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And so when this goes live,
We'll know.
We'll know.
Yeah, so one of
So
us.
We'll know who's there. We won't know who won.
We'll know who's in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Yeah. So which one of us will be right?
Okay.
All right. Well,
That's January, folks.
that's January.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. February, we're gonna have a couple different guests on, right?
Yeah.
Different.
And one more thing. So somebody said at one of the episodes that most podcasts don't make it past 11 episodes, and I think this is the 12th episode.
Oh, snap.
So you're stuck with us now, folks.
We did it.
Thank you for listening to Between Two Bridges, a business-to-business podcast. Find and follow us on your preferred podcast streaming platform. Like and subscribe, and leave us a rating and review. You can join us socially on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Yes, we still call it Twitter. You can email the show at info@betweentwobridgespodcast.com. Until next time, make it till you rake it.